All right, everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're going to explore this thing called the FAST blueprint, and it's all about productivity, but not the kind where you're, working 24/7, more like squeezing more out of your work week, like those super efficient entrepreneur types. We've got this article that breaks it down, and I think there's some really cool stuff here.
Yeah, what really caught my eye is how this system, it like flips the whole work harder idea on its head. It's not about like brute force. It's more like building this well-oiled machine.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, walk me through this FAST blueprint. What's the secret sauce here?
Well, the acronym stands for focus, automate, shift, and then trim. It's kind of like decluttering your work, but on a deeper level, I guess you could say.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely use some of that decluttering. So, where do we even begin with this whole thing?
Well, the article starts off with this 14-day time study challenge. And I know tracking your time in 30-minute blocks might sound kind of intense, but, stick with me here.
Okay, yeah, I'm listening, but convince me. Why should I be logging like every little thing I do for 2 whole weeks?
Think of it like a financial audit, but for your time, you know. You're gathering data to see where those hours are actually going. You might be surprised by what you find.
Yeah, I have those days where it feels like the whole day just vanished, and I'm not even sure what I actually did.
Exactly. This time study, it's all about becoming aware of your patterns. It's about understanding your own rhythm so you can start, like, optimizing it, you know?
So it's not just about, like, finding the time wasters, but really understanding how your whole day flows. I like that. So what comes next?
Once you've got all that time data, it's time to categorize your activities. The article breaks it down into high-value time, neutral time, and then wasted time.
Okay, so high value time would be those tasks that are directly contributing to your big goals, right? Like for me, it would be the writing and recording for this podcast, not just like brainstorming ideas or whatever.
Exactly. It's all about those actions that really push you forward, the ones that get you closer to your goals. It's different for everyone, but the idea is the same, to prioritize these tasks above everything else.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about neutral time? Is that kind of like the gray area of productivity? Not really bad, but not really like moving you towards your goals.
You got it. It's the kind of time that can be streamlined or maybe even delegated to free up more time for that high-value work.
Hmm.
Like checking emails, going to certain meetings, maybe some administrative stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how those things can feel productive, but they're not really pushing you forward. And then there's the dreaded wasted time, which I think we all know a little too well.
Oh, absolutely. That's the real productivity killer right there.
Hmm.
Mindless scrolling, getting lost down those internet rabbit holes, unproductive conversations, you name it.
Ouch. That hits a little too close to home. Okay, so we've identified our time wasters. Now what? How do we actually start focusing better?
Well, the article talks about this cool idea of setting 3 daily non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Think of them like your productivity anchors.
So, like, no matter what crazy stuff happens during the day, those 3 things get done. It's like prioritizing on autopilot.
Exactly. And there's a reason why, CEOs schedule those important meetings first thing in the morning
Yeah.
and make sure they actually happen.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm already feeling more organized just thinking about it. So, we've tackled focus. That's the first part of FAST. What's next on this productivity journey?
This is where it gets really interesting. Step 2 is all about automation. And the article makes this bold statement. Any task you do more than twice a week, you should automate it.
Hold on. I need to hear more about this. If there's a way to like get rid of those boring, repetitive tasks, I'm all ears.
Imagine having like a virtual assistant who takes care of all that boring stuff without complaining. That's the power of automation.
Okay, that does sound pretty amazing, but how do we actually like automate our workflows? It seems kind of complicated.
It can be, but the article mentions some tools that can help, like Zapier. It's like a universal connector for your apps. It lets them talk to each other and do things automatically.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of Zapier, but I've always been a little intimidated by it. Can you give me an example, like a concrete example of how it works?
Sure. Let's say you get a new lead from your website. With Zapier, you can automatically add that lead to your CRM system.
Oh.
That's customer relationship management, by the way. You can do all that without, lifting a finger.
So no more manually copying and pasting information between different platforms. Okay, I see how that could save a ton of time. What other tools do they recommend?
Well, if you're always dealing with, like, invoices and expenses, QuickBooks might be your new best friend.
QuickBooks, isn't that like accounting software?
It is, but it can do way more than just like crunch numbers. It can automate everything from sending invoices to tracking payments, which, frees up your brain for more strategic stuff.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of this whole automation thing. It's like having a team of like invisible assistants working behind the scenes to make everything smoother. What was that third tool they mentioned?
Ah, yeah, Calendly. If you're tired of that back and forth when scheduling meetings, Calendly can save the day.
Oh, I've heard of Calendly. It's like having a personal scheduling assistant, right? People can just book time with you directly, no more emailing back and forth forever.
Exactly. No more messing around with time zones or trying to find a slot that works for everyone. It's a lifesaver, especially if you have a lot of meetings.
Okay, I'm sold on the automation idea, but where do we even start? There's just so much you can do. The article says to start with at least 3 automations right away.
That's a good place to start. Don't try to automate everything at once. Start with a few small wins and, build from there.
So, if I'm getting this right, it's not about finding the most complicated automations, but finding those little repetitive tasks that are just like sucking up your time and finding a way to automate them.
Exactly. And the best part is you don't have to be like a tech genius to get started. There are tons of tools and resources out there to help you automate even the most basic things.
All right, so we've got focus and automate down. That's 2 parts of the FAST blueprint, and I'm already feeling like some kind of productivity ninja. What's next in our quest for a more streamlined workday? So we've covered focus and automate. That's 2 big parts of this FAST blueprint. But I have a feeling there's more, right? What else is there?
Yeah, so next up is shift, and this one can be like a total game changer, especially if you're, doing a million different things in your work. Basically, it's all about delegation.
Delegation. Ooh, I'm already kind of hesitant. I'm a bit of a control freak, gotta admit it. Letting go of tasks, it can be tough, but I see what the article's saying. If you're doing everything yourself, you're not running a business, you're just running yourself into the ground.
So true. Delegation, it's not about giving up control. It's more like using other people's skills so you can focus on what you do best.
Mm.
It's like building a team to reach your goals faster,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I get that in theory, but putting it into practice, that's a whole other thing. How do you even know what to delegate? And who to delegate to? It feels kind of risky. Like, what if they don't get my vision?
That's where this 80% rule comes in. The article says to ask yourself, can someone else do this 80% as well as I can? If the answer is yes, then it's probably a good thing to delegate.
Oh, so it's not about finding someone who can do it perfectly. It's more like good enough to free up your time for more important things. But what about tasks that need a specific skill set? How do you delegate effectively when you need someone with expertise?
That's where communication and a clear process are key. They break down delegation into this framework, the 10-80-10 rule. The first 10% is all about setting expectations, making sure everyone's on the same page about goals and deadlines and all that.
So it's not just dumping the task on someone saying, figure it out. It's about giving them clear instructions, context, support.
Exactly. Then the middle 80%, that's where your team member takes charge. This is where trust comes in. You got to let go of that need to micromanage and let your team do their thing.
Oh, that's the hard part for me. Letting go and trusting someone else to handle something important.
I get it, but it's a big step in becoming a better leader and a more productive person, And then there's that final 10%, the review and feedback part. This is where you check in, make sure things are on track, and offer guidance.
So it's like a cycle, right? Set expectations, step back, then review and adjust. I like how this framework makes delegation seem less scary and more like working together.
That's the idea. Delegation's all about collaboration. And when it's done right, it can free up a ton of your time and energy.
Okay, I'm starting to see the upside of delegation. But let's be real. There are some things we just can't delegate. So what about those? That's where the last part of FAST comes in, right?
You got it. The last step is trim, basically cutting out anything that's not essential. The article says something really interesting. Most people aren't overwhelmed because they have too much to do. They're overwhelmed because they're doing too much of the wrong stuff.
Yeah, I feel that. Sometimes it's like I'm working so hard but not getting anywhere. Like I'm stuck in this loop of busy work,
That's the trap, right?
Yeah.
We get caught up in things that seem important but aren't actually moving us towards our goals. Meetings that could have been emails,
Yeah.
pointless arguments, saying yes to everything.
Oh, guilty of all of those. It's like we're afraid to say no because we don't want to let people down. But really, saying yes to everything is a recipe for burnout.
Exactly. Saying no is like a superpower for productivity. It's about protecting your time for the things that really matter. It's about setting boundaries. You can't do it all.
It's funny how saying no can be so hard, but the article's right. It's like a superpower. It's about taking care of yourself and focusing on your goals.
And it doesn't have to be rude or anything. You can decline requests politely. It's all about, finding the right words and being clear.
Okay, so we're trimming the fat, saying no more, getting back our time and energy. But how do we decide what to keep and what to cut? My to-do list feels like a closet that needs a serious clean out.
They have this cool tool in the article, the Productivity Compass. It helps you categorize tasks based on two things: value and energy.
Okay, I like this. Tell me more. How does this productivity compass work?
Picture a compass with, like, 4 sections. The first one is for tasks that are both high value and give you energy, things you love to do, Andy, that help you reach your goals. These are the tasks you want to prioritize, like, above everything else.
So for a musician, it might be writing and recording music, and for an entrepreneur, maybe it's developing a new product. Those things that get you excited, make you feel alive.
Right. Then there's the second section, high-value tasks that, drain your energy. Important things you might not enjoy, but they got to get done. The trick here is to do these all at once, minimize distractions, and then reward yourself after.
So if there's a big project that's important but not fun, I could block out time just for that and then do something I enjoy after. It's like a productivity bribe.
Exactly. Now, the third section is for those low-value tasks that are kind of fun distractions or things you do just out of habit.
Oh, I know those all too well. Scrolling social media, catching up on gossip, watching funny videos. Fun, but they don't really get you anywhere.
Yep. These are perfect for delegating, or even better, just getting rid of them. If someone else can handle it 80% as well as you, pass it on. Or if it's not really necessary, just cut it out completely.
I'm seeing a theme here. It's about being mindful of your time and energy, making sure you're focused on what matters, and letting go of what doesn't.
Exactly. And then there's the last section, the one we all want to avoid. Low-value tasks that also drain your energy. These are the ultimate time wasters, the things that suck the life out of your day.
Okay, give me some examples. What kind of tasks go in this category?
Think about those pointless meetings, the emails that go on forever, the stuff that could be automated but isn't, the things you do out of obligation, not because you wanna.
I can feel my energy draining just thinking about those.
Right, those are the ones to be ruthless about cutting out. They're just not worth your time or energy.
I love this productivity compass. It's such a simple way to see how you're spending your time and energy, like a map for a better workday.
And the best part is you can use it for anything, not just work. Your personal goals, hobbies, relationships, anything.
Whoa, that's blowing my mind a little. I'm seeing so many ways to use this in different parts of my life.
That's the thing about a good system. It's flexible, and as you get used to it, you can tailor it to what you need.
This has been so helpful. I'm feeling energized, ready to take control of my time and make some changes.
That's what it's all about. But before we wrap up, I think it's important to remember it's one thing to learn about a system and another to actually use it. The article really stresses taking action and seeing what works for you.
It's like having a toolbox full of shiny new tools. They're no good if you just leave them in the box, right? Got to use them to build something.
Exactly. And they even have this free time study tool you can download to get started. It's great for tracking your time and seeing your own productivity patterns.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out. Okay, so we've covered all 4 parts of FAST: focus, automate, shift, and trim. I'm feeling like a productivity pro in training.
Me too. But as we finish up this deep dive, I think we should leave our listeners with something to think about, something to really consider as they start this productivity journey.
Okay, lay it on me. What you got?
Here's a question. What one change from the FAST blueprint could make the biggest difference in your productivity right now? Which step really speaks to you? Where do you see the most room for improvement?
That's a good question. It makes you really think about your own habits and see where you could be working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And once you find that one key change, don't wait. Just start small, try things out, and see what happens. You might be surprised by the results.
I've been thinking about this as we've been talking, and for me, I think it's delegation. I tend to hold on too tight, even when I know I could use some help.
That's a common one, especially
Yeah.
for people who are used to doing everything themselves. But remember, delegation isn't about giving up control. It's about using other people's strength to achieve more.
I like that way of thinking. It's not about doing less, it's about achieving more by working smarter.
Exactly. And there's a certain freedom in letting go of some of those tasks and letting other people handle them. It frees you up to focus on the things you're really passionate about.
I can see that. It's like taking off a heavy backpack and letting someone else carry it for a while. You can move more freely and explore new things.
That's a great way to put it. And you never know, you might even find hidden talents within your team that you didn't know were there.
I'm definitely curious to explore those possibilities. But let's be real, delegation can be kind of scary. It's like taking a leap of faith and hoping things work out.
There's always some risk, but that's where clear communication, having a good process, and trust come in. It's about building a strong foundation so you can delegate confidently, knowing things are in good hands.
Okay, I'm feeling more and more inspired to give this delegation thing a shot. But before we go too deep on that, let's step back. What are some of the key takeaways from this deep dive into the FAST blueprint?
Well, I think the main thing is that productivity isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about finding a system that works for you, not against you.
And that system starts with understanding where your time is going, finding your most important tasks, and cutting out the things that drain your energy and focus.
Exactly. And it's not one size fits all. What's great about the FAST blueprint is that it's flexible. You can adapt it to any lifestyle or job.
It's like a productivity toolkit you can customize to your needs and goals. And the best part, it's not just about getting more done, it's about feeling more in control, less stressed, and more fulfilled.
That's it. Productivity isn't just about checking things off a list. It's about living a more intentional and meaningful life.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today. Explored the 4 steps of FAST, looked at some great tools and techniques, and even challenged ourselves to find that one change that could make the biggest difference in our productivity. But before we wrap up, I think it's important to say this is just the beginning, right?
You're right. It's a journey, not a destination. And like any journey, there'll be bumps, detours, unexpected obstacles. But the important thing is to keep going, keep trying new things, and keep learning.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're here to support you every step of the way with more productivity tips and strategies in future episodes.
Absolutely. We're all in this together, working towards a more productive, fulfilling, and balanced life.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
I'm listening.
Remember that question we asked earlier? The one about finding the one change from FAST that could make the biggest difference for you? Don't let that question disappear. Write it down, put it on your fridge, make it your phone background, whatever it takes to keep it in mind.
I love that. It's a great way to stay focused on your goals and keep making those small changes that lead to big results.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe by our next deep dive, you'll have some amazing productivity breakthroughs to share.
Can't wait to hear them.
All right, that's it for our deep dive into the FAST blueprint. Hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing the limits of your own productivity.
See you on the next deep dive. You know, it's easy to forget about those small changes we can make when we're caught up in the daily grind.
That's why it's so important to have a system like this FAST blueprint.
It gives us some structure and keeps us on the right track.
Totally. And remember, it's not about being perfect or hitting some crazy level of productivity.
It's about making progress step by step.
Yeah, progress, not perfection. Making small changes that add up over time.
And I think the most important thing is figuring out what works for you personally.
Absolutely. What works for one person might not work for another, right? It's all about trying things out and finding what fits.
So like if the idea of tracking your time for 2 weeks makes you want to run away, maybe just start with something like those 3 daily non-negotiables.
Yeah, or if delegating tasks freaks you out, start small and gradually do more.
It's about tackling those areas where you feel stuck,
It's like working out. The more you do it, the stronger you get.
Thinking about it more, I realize productivity isn't just about doing more. It's about creating a life that reflects your values and goals.
It's about making time for things that matter, right? Like family or hobbies or just relaxing.
It's about making your life productive and fulfilling at the same time.
That's a great goal to have.
I think that's a great place to wrap things up. We've explored a lot about productivity today, but there's so much more to discover.
Yeah, this is just the start. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself and your ability to make your life both productive and meaningful.
That's it for our deep dive into the FAST blueprint. We hope you got some good ideas from it.
Until next time, stay curious, stay focused, and keep looking for that balance between productivity and passion.
See you on our next deep dive.